Hey, everyone. Edie and Nick, we are running about, exactly 30 minutes late. I my alarm did not go off. So literally this is my just got out of bed look. Dog
I was your
is
alarm.
Yes,
It
you
is a
called
sad
me.
it is a sad day when I am an alarm in the morning.
Exactly. And I wondered why you waited until 9:40 to call me.
Because usually you're not that late. I sent you a text before that.
Yeah, that's true. I slept through your text. My alarm that was supposed to go off. Well, let's start the show first. The alarm that was supposed to go off at 8 o'clock went off as I'm like furiously trying to get ready for this show at 9. What time did it go off? It like went off like 10 minutes ago, like 9:50. All right. So let me start the show. Do we have anybody in the chat room? Let me see. Oh yes, we have one comment. We have AC Wraith. Hi, AC Wraith. All right, let me start the show.
This podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
All right, mics are hot. Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 526. We are recording this on Wednesday, December 11th, 2019. We have Nick DiNicola. We might have a goalie, and it's sort of my fault. We are a half hour late today recording, and I'm really sorry, Heartbreak Ridge in the Spreaker chat. Hello, world. He says, take two. Yes, it has been a day already. Nick had to wake me up. That's a sad freaking
Sad.
day when that happens.
Sad day.
I don't know why. I mean, I went to bed more than enough time, but for some reason, I did not. Well, I thought I'd slept through my alarm, but which is unusual for me because I'm a very light sleeper. But as I am trying to furiously get the dog piddled, get myself, relatively presentable because I literally just jumped out of bed, um, doing all the things I need to do before I can start a show when I'm alone and there's no Kevin. Uh, as I'm doing that, my alarm goes off. So apparently, my alarm somehow got switched from 8 o'clock in the morning till 9:50, which I'm really glad I don't have a job because otherwise I'd be fired. Anyway, how are you, Nick?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I've just been up, browsing the internet, you know, seeing what's going on in the world, which isn't much because a lot of people are just holding off for the Keeleys.
Yeah, there's not a lot of news to be had. And that's all right. I mean, the Keeleys are what, tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Ooh, my glasses looks like there's goo on them. All right. Well, you know, gotta do what you gotta do. But we did play some different games this week.
Mm-hmm.
I played a lot more than just Kingdom Come Deliverance. In fact, I don't think I played any Kingdom Come Deliverance this week.
Have you
I
gotten
don't
out of
think
Wilds yet?
I have not gotten Outer Wilds yet.
You should get
I'm
out of Wilds.
thinking about it.
I'm gonna promote Outer Wilds from now until my voice goes out.
That's the one that is traveling around in the time loop.
Yeah.
Who is this? A bit laggy today, Nick.
Hmm.
You are? I haven't been
Test.
looking. I don't think it's your audio. I think it's your video. But I mean, I haven't been looking in your video. Um, let's see. AC Ray says my alarm went off and I turned it off so quick that I didn't see the label and spent 5 minutes wondering what the fuck. What? I didn't see what label. Um, So yeah, that was kind of sort
No,
of my
like you
morning.
turned it off so quickly. He's like, wait, why am I up? How did I get
Oh
up?
yeah. Oh. Um. So Outer Wilds. Yeah, you're loving that. Every time I see you on, that's what you're playing.
That's because I've been cleaning up a couple achievements.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of doing random things and exploring the corners of the universe. Some of those achievements sound very easy, but are shockingly difficult to get just because you need things to kind of line up and you need to be real good at flying. Um, but they're also just kind of fun. And also, I just like spending time in that world.
Yeah, that's not a bad world to be in. By the
Mhm.
looks of it. But you and I've been playing Battlefield 5, gone back to it.
You have. I haven't played that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my kind of go-to. And I picked up Titanfall
Two.
2. But yeah, by the way, the Battlefield 5, they have the new Pacific Storm
Mm-hmm.
stuff. The maps are good. It's good. It's Battlefield.
Okay.
They keep changing the modes. Still the same Battlefield. It's a go-to. Uh, the Titanfall 2, I played it when it first came out. Um, I haven't really played it since, but since it was the free game in November or December, by the way, it is still free. Um, one of my friends picked it up and said, "Hey, I've been playing it. I never played it before. I'm really enjoying it." So I went on and picked it up. And I've been reteaching myself how to play it. And it is one of those games that is it's a mecha game. You're playing in a giant robot. But I've been playing it now for quite some time. I'm up to like level 15 now because I think I started a little bit ahead of average because I played it just a little bit
Mm.
when it first came out. It's it's one of those games that takes it's easy to play but takes a lifetime to master, which sounds great, but at a certain point you kind of lose interest because when you're level 10, level 15, you should be starting to kick a little ass. And the thing is that it is not an intuitive game. It is highly, highly complex because there's customizations on your pilot. There's customizations on your mech, and it's not just one customization. It's almost like, oh, what was that mech game where it was super deep and you had to essentially build your mech? It was a
Front mission?
no, it was
Armored Core.
was it Armored Core? I played it a really long time ago with Hawks and Andy. That's
Mech
how long.
Warrior?
Maybe no, it wasn't Mech Warrior. Uh, 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 Heartbreak Ridge, I might remember because I think that we played it. That's where I met you, and it was essentially a mech game where
Chrome Hounds?
Chrome Hounds. That's it. Chrome
I didn't
Hounds.
think Chrome Hounds was that complicated.
It was pretty complicated in that you had to build your mech, and building your mech was a kind of important. And then you had to, there was components upon each mech that you had to swap out and swap in and put together. So every mech was different.
I don't
And
know. I feel like you're vastly overstating the complexity of Titanfall. Like it is nowhere near. It's the same
the
amount of complexity. No, yes, the multiplayer. It's the same amount of
multiplayer,
complexity as any other multiplayer game, as any Call of Duty, where it's like, hey, what chassis do you want, and then what gun do you want, and then like a couple defensive bonuses like perks. Like you're picking your character, you're picking an ability, and you're picking perks. Yeah, you're picking your character, you're picking gun, and you're picking perks.
you can
That's what
go
you're
out in
doing.
multiplayer and do it, but you don't do very well unless you pick exactly the right perk for the right map, exactly the right.
No, it's not that. It's not that punishing.
It's pretty punishing.
No, it's not.
All right. When was the last
I
time you
don't
played
think
it?
so. I played it a while ago.
Yeah.
It might feel punishing now just because at this point, like the people that are still playing Titanfall 2
Are
are
really
fantastic,
playing Fight and
and they will
Titanfall
murder
2.
you no matter what you do.
Well,
You could you
I'm
could
not even
have
playing. Wait, I'm not.
you could have
I'm not
perfect score.
playing the competitive multiplayer. I'm playing the co-op
Oh,
multiplayer,
oh,
and it's
okay.
still challenging. And that's what I mean. Is
I
that it's not the other players. Granted, yes, the competitive multiplayer actually didn't do badly in competitive multiplayer, but it seems way more easy on the surface, but once you start playing many hours into it, you begin to realize that there is a complexity to it, that you have to match the right the right frame to the right map, and you have to match the right perks to the right frame, for especially for your style. It seems to me like I don't have a problem. Certainly not with competitive multiplayer. I don't have a problem with most games. And I'm really challenged by this one to
I'm
make it,
surprised.
top of the list.
Like I remember playing that game and nothing about the customization seemed out of
Right.
any sort of just absolute standard sort of customization. Like I
I,
said,
I would
you choose a
have
character, you choose
agreed.
a gun, you choose a perk. There you go.
I
Like,
would have agreed with you until I started playing the co-op, multiplayer co-op in the realm of 15 to 20 hours. Now that I'm deeply into that, I'm beginning to see, you know what? This is not as simple as you would lead you to believe.
isn't that the good point? Isn't that like
It is. It
isn't that
is.
a pro, not a con? Isn't that like the
It is a
point when
pro.
you start to intuit the combinations that work best? And so when you're in that selection screen, you just kind of begin to know, oh, I want to be able to do X, so I should put Y on my mech.
Yes and no.
Hmm.
Because it depends on the kind of person you are, and the kind of place you are in your life. If you're the kind of person that looks at those kind of things and goes, I want to learn, that's great. Works for you. If you're the kind of person that goes, I fucking don't have time for this, I don't have time to sit through tutorials, then
But you
I'm,
have time to play 20 hours of it.
oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think in that time you just learn. Like it's not a matter of sitting down and learning. It's just you learn through the act of playing.
Heartbreak Word says you could get really crazy builds in Chrome Hounds and then get murdered by Japanese player who min maxed and could shoot your ass off from a mile away. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Chrome Hounds was I kind of like that about Chrome Hounds. I hated it sometimes, but I liked it. Uh, um, so yeah, and then finally, you and I played together something that uh, uh, we actually put the entire game onto YouTube, and we played A Way Out on over the weekend, and we finished it up night before last,
Monday.
Monday night.
Hmm.
A Way Out. What are your thoughts?
I think that's a fun game. Like I'm not gonna sit here and give it like a whole bunch of superlatives. I really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it. It's not something I would have played otherwise. So I think that they put a lot of systems and the ability to play the full game with someone who has bought it so that two people don't have to buy it. I just downloaded the demo and I could play through the whole thing with you. I think that's a really good feature because like I would not have bought it otherwise. Like I remember telling you as we were playing that I looked up the ending years ago when it first came out because I heard that there was kind of a twist ending and I wanted to see what it was and I knew that I didn't really have any desire or any way to play through a co-op game, 10-hour co-op game. Like I just didn't have um, And so I looked at the ending and I was like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Um, so I never really thought I would play this. So the fact that they let you do that for free, as long as one of the people has it, is a really, really good thing. Um, and the game itself, I think, is very well done. It tells a story of two guys who try to break out of a prison, and then once they're out, their kind of quest for revenge against this drug dealer who kind of screwed both of them over. And it's neat. It's well paced. It's always kind of introducing something new, some new scenario, some new mechanic. Probably one of the most fun things at the game is that there's so many little time wasters in it. Like when you're exploring an area, you could choose to play baseball. You can play Connect Four. You can play an arcade volleyball game. You can play darts. You can play horseshoes. Like every level has this kind of goofy mini game that you can just kind of waste time doing, and that's fun because it allows you a chance to actually bond with the characters and whoever you're playing with beyond the super serious, oh, we need to get revenge and I've been wrongly accused and my brother was murdered type of story. It adds a nice bit of levity to that, which I think the story needs. Otherwise, it might get a little too not dramatic, but like it might take itself too seriously.
Yeah, and it in a way artificially extends the game, but at the same time, none of them felt repetitive. They found a different way to waste your time every single time, all the way down to the video game inside the video game, which was actually really fun.
Yeah, the
That
volleyball one.
little volleyball, no, it was grenade handoff.
Yeah, it was volleyball though.
Yeah, it was volleyball, and but it was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I found that especially going from split screen to single screen to 2/3 screen to one, like just now, you just saw that on the screen on the video feed. It felt super organic. I never felt like I was not like it had done something that upset me or got in the way of my gameplay. Um, and the story I thought was a super interesting story. And you knew the end. I did not see the twist at all
Mm-hmm.
coming. And that twist changes the mechanics in such a way that it makes it super interesting to play as a multiplayer, especially having played the rest of the game one way. Um, it's a great game. I really liked it. I really, really want to see you and Goalie play this game.
Hey, but neither of us own it, and that's the difficult part.
Yeah, well, one of you needs to pick it up. It's not that expensive, and it is pretty fun. It was definitely worth the $20 and or no, $10, $12 I think I paid for it.
Mm.
And when it goes on sale, it's certainly worth it. But yeah, it is, I would say, crazy stupid fun, but it's not stupid. It's actually pretty smart. And you kind of share off of each other, information off of each other's screens. And so, there's never any time you have things hidden, which kind of sucks. But you have to frequently do stuff together, like pushing through that door. You have to both hit the square button at the same time.
And like this one point, someone's gonna move a crane and the other's gonna jump on it.
Right here, this point.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to make decisions together. There's two characters, Leo and Vincent. Leo loves to take the violent way. Vincent loves to take the restrained way. And you're going to have to make a decision sometimes of, do you want to go in guns blazing, or do you want to go in the back kind of quiet and do it in a very restrained way? And
Yeah,
you
part
as
of me
players
wished
have to decide how to going to do that.
part of me wished they did more with that because like you have to agree between
Yes,
that.
you have
Um,
to agree.
so like
What
the
happens if you
game
don't
the game
agree?
pauses and you have to both like hold square to agree on an option before the game will continue down one of those paths. I would thought it'd be really cool if you could disagree and like if one person could do one thing and another person could do another thing. Like there's a one option where you can rob a gas station. And so you can either go in, you do Leo's way, which is go in, shoot the gun in the air and say, "Hey, give me your money," or you could do it Vincent's way, which is to be a more subtle robbery. And I thought it would be really cool. Like when we chose to do it Leo's way, guns blazing. But when we actually got into the process of doing it, we could kind of set things up. Like you could talk to one guy and he would be like, "Oh, everything's so expensive here." And you can say, "Oh, there's a cheaper place down the road." And he's like, "Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. I should go there." And then he doesn't move.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just stays there. And it seemed like a missed opportunity to allow you to like mix and match each of those. So like as Leo, I could say, "I'm gonna go in guns blazing," but as Vincent, you could be like, "Give me 5 minutes to set things up and then you can do it. Like give me a chance to do this and then we'll see what happens." Or like very early on, one of the first things you do is you decide how to get across this bridge. You can either try to steal a car and gun across, or like sneak under the bridge. And it just seems like a cool idea of like if you could actually disagree and one person goes one way and then you got to like wait for the other person or try to do something to help them out. It just seemed like, oh, we have to agree. It was just a moment that every time we paused to make one of those decisions, I was like, I want to see both. Like, it just seemed like it'd be a more interesting conflict.
Mm-hmm. I'm smiling right now because I'm watching the feed, and it made me forget that the mechanics, not just the mechanics, but the layout and how you need to do things changes so much. Like this game, this this part of it, where it went from being kind of a 2D to top down or 3D to top down. Um, it frequently changes the layout and the way that the game is played, and does so in very interesting ways that feel good and don't feel like, oh fuck, they've changed the game on me. Like there was a chase. In fact, I'm going to move out of this. This part is hilarious because you have to convince this guy to talk, and there are all these things, these implements of torture sitting around in this space, and you have to just keep coming up to him and trying to torture him. and he, and my character is a guy that does not is the restrained guy. So he keeps on threatening him with a nail gun, but doesn't do anything. I dropped the nail gun. Nick's character, who's the violent one, actually comes over, picks up the same nail gun, actually shoots him in the leg, and then he talks. So I couldn't get him with the violent stuff. As you can see, we're walking around. There's lamps, there's nail guns, there's a wallet over there that I could threaten him with information. See, he actually uses the lamp. But there was, in fact, I'm gonna look for the other. Where is it? I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna look for the video. I think it was part 3. The
The hospital?
the hospital. The hospital was so good, especially with the switching mechanics. Well, first off, you wanted to go into the hospital, and the first thing that Nick and I find is a Connect 4 that we end up playing with each other for a good 15 minutes. But eventually you're on the run, and there's another time waster. There was the balancing,
Yeah.
which I actually won, as opposed to, like, it was the only thing I actually won.
I would have kept going, but we
I
had
know
to
you would have,
continue.
but I tried to get you out of it. But there's a point when there is a chase, and that chase we end up splitting up. Let's see, started from the beginning. We're not in the same room when the chase starts, so we are completely separate. as opposed to running together, which you saw in a lot of those videos that he and I were running, maybe either next to each other or near each other. In this one, we are in completely different, in some cases, completely different floors of the place. And it makes not only for super interesting way to switch back and forth between us. Sometimes we ran together, at the same time, side by side, not, split screen. Sometimes we were running, Nick was doing his thing, then I was doing my thing, then Nick was doing his thing, then I was doing my thing. And it just never got boring in the way that it presented the game. It was just the right amount. And really crazy fun, especially this particular chapter
Yeah,
was fun.
what I thought was most interesting about this one is what you just saw there. Instead of doing the split screen chase that the game does a lot of times, it would switch between characters. So
Mm-hmm.
you would get your full screen activity, but then it would switch to someone else. But in particular, the way that it did that is the camera is following you, and then when you get to the end of your section, the camera doesn't cut. Instead, it breaks off and swings through a window, through a vent, through a door. It basically just swings around. Like here, it's going down a stairwell, through a door, and then it's catching up to Vincent, who's then going to go off in his own section. And it's just a very, as someone who like,
Tarantino, very Tarantino.
yeah, something like that. This is someone who just like really loves movies and like the act of making movies. I thought that it was cinematic in a way that wasn't like distracting or detrimental to the gameplay. It was cinematic in a way that like actually really worked to kind of reinforce the layout of the environment. Like this is an actual physical place, this whole hospital, because the camera is flying all these places. And it's just a very, very cool effect of kind of helping you keep in mind where you are in relation to the other person. And yeah, I really love this sequence of all things, the direction,
Mm-hmm.
the not the gameplay is very easy. You're just like holding forward and hitting square. But the direction was really cool.
Yeah, the cinematography. Well,
Yeah.
this particular section felt like I think it's called a one shot, where you just do one
Yeah.
take through the whole thing. Come on, get through. Sorry.
And I'll admit there are a couple of cheats, like where it zooms in on a security camera footage and then cuts to Vincent running because like the camera sees him, which is not
Mhm.
like it's not moving through the same physical space, but it's still a neat trick.
It felt very very Daredevil in that
Hmm.
way. Because Daredevil, that was what it was great for, was
Oh yeah, the one shot
one
fight
shot
scenes.
action scenes. Yep.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was. I
Yeah, it's
thought
funny.
it was a solid buy at 10, or 12. I think it's normally 20. I think it is.
Mhm.
I particularly loved this one. This section.
The old boy homage.
Yeah. um the it's it was a solid $12 buy. It is definitely still a solid $20 buy. I was originally saying that the replayability would be not great, but the fact that there are so many decisions and multiple ways of doing things makes it so that that this God, I love you using the lamp. uh makes it definitely worthwhile to do it more than once and with different people. Even if you know how to get through stuff, it doesn't make it any. It does make it easier, but at the same time, you are constantly looking for new ways of doing stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah, I think you liked it more than me, but I found it a perfectly enjoyable
yeah.
experience. Perfectly enjoyable
I
game.
really liked it. This is the if I was gonna make a game, this is the kind of game I would make.
Huh.
It really is. Thought it was about as perfect a balance of action to story. Um, the way that the stories flip between your story and my story, which are the same yet sort of different. Whenever you were playing, I was never like, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So when you were just watching, it was entertaining. When you were playing, it was entertaining. It was overall just like being in a movie. So yeah, can't cannot uh cannot discount this game. I mean, yes, you want to get it on a discount, but don't pass it by if you see it cheap. And the other really nice thing about it is that it I bought it, but Nick played it for free, and you can play it for
Hmm.
free for a month.
Yeah, it's just as long as one of the co-op people
Yep.
own it. That's all you need.
It's on one person owns it. The other one has to download the demo. That's the other thing. But the
Yeah,
demo doesn't
which
take too
makes
long
sense.
to
You need to download something. We're not streaming it.
right.
Stadia.
So pissed is on. He says, "What? No goalie. He sucks." No. It's sort of my
He
fault.
was late and he has stuff to do. So
No,
he
I was
he
late. I
had to
was
do. Yeah,
very late.
that's what I said.
I was a half hour
You were
late.
late and he has other stuff to do.
Well, I mean, I kind of
He
wanted to
can't.
say, "Hey, if I'm a half hour late, the show's a half hour shorter." But
Mm,
so yeah, that's the game. Um. So
I'm trying to
any
think if I played anything
I
else.
didn't at all. We went through it all. I think all you've been playing is Outer Wilds.
Yeah, I played a little bit more of Children of Morta. Like
Oh,
I go back to that every now and then. I finally got past this location that has been giving me a tough time. And the part of as I've said before in the past, one of the reasons I like that game is because you earn experience and skill points through each run that carries over. And so you level up your character like any traditional RPG, even though the structure of the game is kind of like a roguelike. And that allows me to build up my character to the point where I got into this level in this boss fight that normally killed me, and it was just easier enough because I was doing just a little bit extra damage that I was able to beat him. And I thought, like, yeah, this is why I keep coming back to the game, is because I never feel like uh,
it's too
oh
far out.
yeah, I
Yeah.
never feel like a run is wasted if I
Mm-hmm.
like. And what's nice about it is with each consecutive level that I unlock, the enemies get tougher, and so the experience that I get from them increases. So when I unlocked this new area, the first thing I did is I went through it with my lowest level character, because you can play as like any one of like 6 family members, and they all level up uh, differently. Um, so I played with the lowest level guy, who I don't usually like playing as, but because I'm pitting this low level guy against stronger enemies, within 10 minutes he levels up like 2, 3 times, and I get 2, 3 extra skill points out of that, and he gets a little better. And I'm not gonna spend a lot of time playing that level with him, but the game and the way it doles out experience and the way it doles out difficulty feels very balanced in a way that you're not going to leave a family member behind. If you never play as them, yes, they will stay at like 0. But as long as you switch between like 2 or 3 people at certain points, it'll be fine. Like you'll keep everyone within the same general vicinity of levels, and yeah, that feels good. And that is not what we're seeing now. What we're seeing now is Outer Wilds.
Oh, I thought that was not what you were talking about.
No, I was talking about Children of
Children
Morta.
of Morta. That's right. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm kind of
but that's all I played.
yeah.
That's also
Um.
a good game. I really like that game.
Yeah. Well, you've been playing a lot of it.
Well,
Uh.
it's just a good thing to go back to once in a while.
Yeah.
Oh, I own the screen now. Oh,
You want me to run it on the screen? I can put you both.
um, yeah, it's a good game to go back to. Like now that I finished Outer Wilds, and I'm hesitant to go back to Kingdom Come because of there's so much to do there. I thought, well, I still want to play a game tonight. I've got like 40 minutes to spare. What am I going to do? Oh, I'll play some Mortar. It's that kind of game.
It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to have a game that's like that in that way. And you know that you can just kind of sit down and relax through,
Yeah.
which is what I expect Outer Wilds to be for me. That is, you
No,
know,
it won't
no,
be.
no, really.
No, because it
Hmm.
will consume your every waking thought.
Oh, okay.
It
Maybe
won't
I
be
should
that
give
in
it
a
a try.
good way. It will be the kind of game that you're like, I want to play, but motherfucker, if I just go to that planet, I know there's this door, there's a thing there I want to see. If I can just get there and see it, then something will happen. I don't know what I'll learn, but I'll learn something.
Mm.
And I have to see, what is it? What am I missing? I did actually, since last week, I did beat that game. I did finish it.
Oh,
Um, and
and you're still playing
it,
it, or you?
yeah. Well, like I said, I'm just kind of cleaning up achievements around the
Okay.
you know solar system. But yeah, the ending it went in a direction I was not expecting. Um, but it is a very, very beautiful ending. Like that
Okay.
is what I say about that game. That like I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil anything. But
Don't spoil it for me because I am going to get it.
it is a it is like my favorite kind of sci-fi that like you know sort of uses this big galactic template, this big galactic scale. What's what I'm looking for? Scope. Like it uses universal scope to I don't know speak to like personal but also universal human themes. It's really good. I found it fantastic. I love that game.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was the name of the book that you are in?
Oh, Blood and Blasphemy.
I want to pimp your book as well. By the way.
Okay, and actually, as of this morning, I should be listed as one of the contributing authors on Amazon.
Well, let's see. Nick has a short story that has been published in a book that is now available on Amazon. It is a would you call it horror
Oh,
anthology?
fuck yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Called Blood and Blasphemy,
Look at name more? Oh, it looks like
and
I'm not there yet.
you were there. I thought you were when we looked it up before. I
I think so.
remember seeing it.
I have an author central page that I had to get set up. It was like a weird catch 22 because in
Mhm.
order to set up this author central page, you need to list a book on Amazon that has your name on it.
But your name wasn't on this one.
Exactly. So I sent Amazon like a help request, and the first thing I got back was, "Oh, we see you haven't created a page. You should create one." I'm like, well, "That's the problem. I can't because I'm not listed on the book. But in order to be listed on the book, I need a page. But in order to need a page, I need to be
Right.
mentioned in the book." But I sent them another thing, and they said they took care of it. So,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, bottom line, if you would like to support GameHounds in one more way and actually have a book in your hand written by him, this guy right here, Nick
Or at least
DiNicola.
not all written by me, but
No, no, but there's going to be a story in there that's written.
yes.
So yes, about as I recall, it was like a cult
Excuse me.
or something.
Yes,
Cult
yes.
gone very wrong, as opposed to those cults that go very right. Yeah, it's available on Amazon. It's called Blood and Blasphemy. $4.99 for the Kindle version and $14.99 for the paperback. Do you have a Audible version? I am amazed now that I'm on a bunch of author and lit RPG Facebook pages.
Hmm.
Most people, certainly in the lit RPG genre, consume these books via Audible, not by reading them, which is crazy to me that someone would actually just listen to somebody else interpreting the book. But yes,
I don't know. I would be fine with an audiobook. I don't listen to too many of them just because they're so much more expensive.
right.
But no, I have no problem with audiobooks. I mean, fuck, I listen to Critical Role has an audio podcast practically
Yeah,
because
but
I
that's a
listen to it while working.
that's a podcast. It's not a
But what is
book.
a podcast if not like a narrated story? Like I listen to other actual play podcasts and like
Uh,
it's practically the same thing.
no, it's not. I don't know. There's something about reading a book where the narrator is the voice in my head as opposed to somebody else's voice who's interpreting it completely different than I would. And seeing things that I would not, or my own voice sees things that and wonders things. It just I don't know. I can't imagine not reading a book.
Not a fan of audiobooks.
Not so far.
Hmm.
That's not audiobooks, that's spoken word art, which is something totally different that my brain consumes in a different way. I mean, yeah, if I was in my car for really, really long stretches and couldn't get the news on the radio, like couldn't get NPR or BBC radio or whatever, then yeah. But I don't know that I would want to listen at home or, in places that I had an
Well, I think
option to
that's the
read a book.
point.
I would rather read the book.
I
It's
think
like
those most
it's
people,
second fiddle.
yeah, I think most people don't listen to an audiobook like like that. They're not going to sit down in a chair with a drink and listen to an audiobook. They're doing it like while they're exercising, while they're driving, while they're doing something else, and you know,
Yeah, that's
which
the
makes
other
a lot of
thing is that
sense.
when you have an audiobook, if you're exercising or you're driving or whatever, there's going to be moments where your brain stops listening. Every
Yeah, and you
brain
can.
does that.
That's what the rewind button's for.
I then the spell is broken. And
Hmm.
I've tried to listen to audiobooks. Granted, they were very, very poorly narrated, but I've tried to listen to friends' audiobooks, and they my brain would wander because I was driving. I was distracted from the story. So I was missing things that would end up coming up
Maybe you
later.
need a better narrated audiobook.
Yeah, yeah. I think the one that
Because there is definitely nothing worse than a boring narrator.
it's not that they were
Like
boring. It was
a
one,
monotone voice that just goes on and eventually your brain just wanders. Like I've had some teachers, or
yes.
I've gone to some like, technical writing um places where it's just they start talking and like 10 minutes in I'm just sitting there like I have no fucking clue what they're saying. I just need to like pretend, or I'll just take out a notebook and just be like I'm just going to start scribbling some shit cuz I am already checked out.
Yeah, I'm one
Nothing worse than a
particular one.
bad orator.
And I forget who it was. It was somebody who I knew that wrote a book, and it was a science fiction book because I know several people that write books. In fact, let me pull up another science fiction book for you. Um, sorry. Actually, it's a fantasy book. But I remember one in particular that was a friend of mine that wrote a fantasy book, and it was the very beginning, which of course is the most complicated because you're trying to lay out the characters and who that person is, and in the world you're kind of stage setting. So there's a lot of it's kind of an info dump at the beginning of a book, and how you do that can be easy or hard. Some people just choose like Tolkien, just info dumps
Yeah.
out there.
Fuck Tolkien. I'm going to say
No,
that now. I'm going to say
mm-mm,
this now.
no.
Those movies are masterpieces. That dude is an awful writer.
Oh no, he's a really, really good writer. He's a
No.
really
No,
good.
he's not.
Oh, it's beautiful, but it is an info
He's
dump,
so
particularly at the beginning.
boring.
So some authors
And
like
all
to
those
kind of.
fucking songs. God, they just won't shut up.
Oh my God, you're so wrong.
That piece of
Oh,
shit, Tom Bombadil. It's just
oh,
like, get to something happening. Oh, they're traveling north over a river, over a hill, through some trees, some shrubs. When the fuck does something happen? God.
anyway, This particular audiobook that was written by this friend who had obviously paid someone quite a lot of money apparently to do the audio.
Yeah,
That
I'm sure
particular reader was
that's not
not a
cheap.
very good reader.
Oh,
He had a beautiful English voice, beautiful accent. He was monotone. He read way too fast. And when you're doing an info dump, you can't read something that fast to someone because they can't absorb the information. It's like these are names I need to know and people who I need to know. You need to explain this slowly. And he just was
mm,
speaking like this as fast as he possibly can. And I remember getting in the car and starting and trying to listen to it. And I got about 30 seconds in and my brain was wandering. And then I'm like, fuck, fuck, fuck. I just missed it. So I had to rewind. And I started again. It's like another 10 seconds in. And then I begin to realize, what's wrong with me? And then I realized, no, it's him. It's not me. It's not my fault. So yeah.
in the chat, AC Ray says that Tolkien is at least a good world builder, and I'll give you that.
Oh,
He
yeah.
made a really good world.
Yep.
I just didn't like reading about it. I liked watching it.
Yeah.
I'll absolutely watch it.
Ooh, Clark's World Magazine podcast for the wind. It's audio story ASMR, which I'm a huge fan of ASMR. Do you get it?
Is
Do you
that
get
is that a positive thing to say it's audio story ASMR? Because isn't that saying like it'll put you to sleep?
No, ASMR is different than putting you to sleep. Do you get that feeling?
Yeah, it's just like a good relaxing feeling. Like I know that, but
No,
I still don't know if audio
no.
story ASMR is a
No, it's not a relaxing feeling. It is literally a physical feeling of the best way I can describe it. Have you ever had a person with a very soft touch run their fingers up the back of your neck through your hair? You know that kind of like
That is a very specific thing that I have not had happen to me.
okay. Well, I mean that's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it's the best way. It's not relaxing. It's literally tingles. You get like into this almost like trance like state of like very alert and at the same time very relaxed. It literally feels like tingles up the back of my neck, over the top of my head and across my scalp. That's what ASMR feels like to me. And it hasn't happened for me in a really, really long time. I used to get it all the time. Certain music would do it to me, certain chord
Hmm.
progressions. There was one time when somebody was explaining the geopolitics of the Middle East to me at work, and his voice hit that point, and I went into this trance, and he just kept talking, and I'm like, do it. Do it. I want to hear all about this. I want to hear about this pipeline. Tell me about the pipeline.
I imagine you being like the one person in an office who's like, Tim, please tell me all about Israel and Palestine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please
Oh
tell
yeah.
me, explain it to me, and then you just sit there and zone out. And like the one person that
It was
wants
late
to
at night.
listen
We
to
were
you.
both it was back when I was a reporter. We were both on deadlines. We were taking a break and he just started talking and it hit and it didn't go away. Like I'm used to it hitting and not and kind of going away very quickly. In this case, it hit and didn't go away. I sat for 2.5 hours. It was 9:30 at night
Wow.
before I walked out. And I walked out and I'm like, that was a peak experience. That will never happen to me again. And this is before ASMR was known. I thought I was the only person in the world that felt this because I'd never heard anybody explain it to me. And it was so funny because Kevin, I mentioned it to him. This is years, just like a few years ago. I mentioned to him that this happens to me. And he was like, it happens to me too. I'm like, wait, this is a feeling that I literally have had. I remember having this as a toddler. And you're telling me that I'm not the only one. You're the only one I've ever described this to. You've got it too. And it was very shortly after that that Kevin walked in and goes, Edith, 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 look. ASMR. It's got a name. It's actually a thing that more people have. And that's when it was like this moment of realizing I'd had this all my life, but never had a name for it and never knew I was anybody but me that had this feeling. I thought I was a weirdo.
Hmm.
So I love ASMR. I don't get ASMR from a lot of things. There's been a couple of ASMR videos that have, but the things that trigger most people don't trigger me. If I can watch someone drawing, especially real life, drawing will do it to me. Um, and
I get that. I don't know if I have that same feeling, but like there's just something about watching something draw or paint something that is very hypnotic and
mhm,
pleasant.
yeah, for me, it's an actual physical manifestation. It's very, very. If you were having what I have, it would be more than just like, oh yeah, I find it very relaxing. It would be like, I don't want to say it's like an orgasm, but it's in that same way of you're having a physical
The
feeling
cat
about
cam
something.
is
The cat
back.
cam's here. Hi, cat cam. So, but there's another book. Talk about the cat. I have to look this up.
This is a cat. He has a diaper, if you see that, because we can't neuter him because he has a heart problem and he'll die if we neuter him. Or he'll die if we put him under to neuter him. But he is a very cool cat. The best cat. What is Heartbreak Ridge? Oh, that's a question for Edie. I can't answer that.
All right, so my
Okay,
book
Heartbreak.
that I'm pimping is
Oh,
actually a
okay.
physical book. You can find
Oh,
it on
you have something to pimp
Amazon.
too.
Yeah, yeah. This is The Dragon Within by Arendelle, Arrendle. This is my cousin's book, just
Hmm.
released, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I am just about to start reading it, but this is my cousin's whose name really is Arendelle. That is her actual name that her mother gave her. She was named like an elf. I don't know why, but my
Oh,
cousins
okay.
are
That's the
cool.
first name at the bottom.
Yeah, it's her first name.
Oh, usually it's the last name.
She goes by the author's name Arendelle, but that
Okay.
is her real first name. Her sister's name is Aubrey, and we always just called her Erin, but she's Arendelle. And this is her book, A Dragon Within. And I am going to read
What's that say
it.
at the top?
It says
Threat of the Crowns.
Thread of the Crowns.
Cool.
It is on Amazon. I believe it's like The Dragon Within in books. God, there's a couple of different. There we go. The Dragon Within. It is $5.99 on Kindle and $18.99 in paperback, or $18.95 in paperback. Yeah, pick it up. Tell me what you think, and if you would like to have your book signed by Arendelle, let me know, because I got her phone number. But definitely, if you're looking for a new fantasy book, give it a shot. And we will read it together and talk. Oh, she looks like she goes by A.A. Arendelle. Because, remember who was it that everybody had the two initials first name? Nick,
Oh,
from
yes,
last
yeah.
week? Yeah, A.A. Arendelle.
Although her Amazon page is Arendelle Brown.
Oh, it does go by Arendelle Brown. Yeah, that's her last name.
What the fuck? Is she related to Caitlyn?
No. She married. She married Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, that is her married name, not her. I don't see where. Why is it not showing her author page when I click on it?
I don't know.
So yes, she married Michael Brown, and so yeah, pick it up, check it out. It's a good deal, and I will let you know how much I like it. I would assuming, I mean, it's got 5 stars, so that's a good thing.
The description in her bio sounds rather interesting.
Yeah.
Combines historical accounts of ancient Egyptian spellcasting and druidic teachings with science-inspired chimeric and bioluminescent characters. that is like not, oh, it's Europe but with dragons.
Yeah. No.
Um, Very intriguing.
Erin is a really interesting person. Always has been. Both she and Aubrey, her
Hmm.
sister. All right. So, shall we hit what little news we have? Because there's really not that much right now.
Yeah, sure. There's a couple
Oh, by
things.
the way, Miles Thompson says, as long as we're pimping stuff here, check out my podcast. Everybody's Screwed Up on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Breaker, and Stitcher, and Radio Public. We will. It's a great name, by the way. Everybody's Screwed Up.
There was a TV show that had a similar name like that, and I can't remember. It was Everybody's something, and it was popular. I don't remember. Anyways, Everybody Screwed Up. Go listen
Everybody's
to it.
Screwed Up. Go listen to it. Listen to it pretty much anywhere podcasts can be found. News?
Yeah.
All right. Let's wait for it, the news. This is the GameHounds news, the news, views, and commentary of the week in gaming with gamer Edie and Nick DeNicola and the Holy Goalie. Sorry, Goalie. Sorry, I was a half hour late. And our first item is, Nick, it's going to have to be you because I've got
No.
butt kiss at the moment.
Capcom officially announced the Resident Evil 3 remake that had been rumored for a while. I remember back when 2 came out, maybe a month or so after, there were some rumors. Some guy on Twitter that's kind of known for leaking Capcom stuff, said that they were working to do something similar to Resident Evil 3 that they had just done with Resident Evil 2. And sure enough, God, I keep wanting to say Comcast. Capcom officially announced the Resident Evil 3 remake with a trailer. And it looks very good. For a moment, the trailer spends a lot of time in first person, and so part of me wondered if they're going to do some sort of Resident Evil 7 first person action with this remake. I don't know. If they do, that will be like a weird Ouroboros snake eating its own tail type of franchise evolution, but I'm all for it. They have been on a roll with Resident Evil games. 7 was great. The 2 remake was great. And I can only expect that this 3 remake will also be great. So I'm looking forward to it. Happy to see that the rumors are true.
That does sound cool.
Also announced, though no trailer, at least for now, 2K has announced that they are working on a new BioShock game.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
Now, they have been working on it for a long time. Basically, this announcement is just like an official acknowledgement of the project's existence. It is being worked on by a new company called Cloud Chamber. So this, what was it? Not Insomniac. Who made BioShock? Irrational.
Yes.
Irrational has nothing to do with this because they shut down, and Ken Levine is off doing God knows what. But there's an interesting article on Kotaku that kind of goes through the history of this game, that apparently it was being worked on by this other studio headed by an ex-Irrational guy for a couple years. And then during pre-production, it got taken from them, and 2K took it in-house and has still been working on it for several years. So, they've been trying to iron out what exactly this game would look like for a while. And I think this marks an announcement that, like, hey, we're ready for people to know about this. The article speculates that the game is probably about 2 years away because they've been working on it for about 2 years already. And I think they might have announced it now because they might have a trailer for the Keeleys, like some sort of teaser. 2 years out seems like a perfectly fine time to have like a teaser announcement trailer. But it could go either way. Like I'm just pulling things out of my ass here. They might have a trailer, might not. I could see it going either way.
Mm-hmm. I've got something. PS4 had a firmware update. It is 7.01. and it's available for all PS4 users right now. So this is the first update after the big update with the remote play functionality, the Android support, the name changing. It was a major update because it was 7.0. This is now 7.1. Um, and it just improves system performance, behind the scene changes that you're not going to really notice most of anything. But you do have to download the update in order to play online, which kind of sucks. But it's a fairly small one. It's only 447 megs. It's not a great big one, but anticipate that if next time that you get you go online, you're gonna need to do that update. I'm sorry, I don't have better anything more interesting than that. This is an example
Okay.
of how little
I've
news there is right now.
I've got several other
Okay,
interesting
keep
things.
going.
Redbox is no longer renting video games.
Really?
They
Why?
are finally they haven't said anything about it. There's an article on The Verge that goes into this. They haven't given a reason why, just that they are transitioning out of the games business. Basically, you can't rent anything right now. Like they've
Mhm.
kind of completely gotten rid of that. You can still buy games up until next year, but at that point, they will transition entirely into movies. So maybe it's just a matter of game rental is not as profitable or as good as the game movie rentals.
Mhm.
Interesting. And it also the only way to rent a game now is through GameFly. Like
Oh, interesting.
unless you have like a mom and pop game rental store, there's really no other physical location you can go to rent a game.
Yeah, I think that the game rental market kind of dried up with a couple of things. One, digital downloads,
Mhm.
and two, PlayStation Now and the Xbox, whatever the
Oh
Xbox
yeah, like Game
One
Pass.
Game Pass. That's it. Um, the fact that you, for a low monthly fee, you can get pretty much all the games. Not all of them, but enough of them that you go, yeah, I don't know if I want to rent this or not. Um, and
Well, yeah,
honestly,
like Game Pass is itself pretty much a rental service.
exactly. So it kind of decimated the need for somebody to go out to a store, to go to a kiosk to download a game, which kind of, I mean, to rent a game and then
Yeah.
return it. It's kind of the bummer about it. But at the same time, makes sense. I think that the more that streaming becomes a thing, I think Redbox is going to go away entirely. It's just it's not sustainable given the technology. It's like they're the last buggy whip maker in the industrial revolution.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. They have to figure out what to use those kiosks for, because they're not going to be able to be used for movies and video anymore. Um,
Well,
my
I've one
go ahead.
actually. Speaking of Game Pass,
Mm-hmm.
in some nice Game Pass news, Untitled Goose Game will be coming to Game Pass next week.
Fuck.
So, yeah, before it was a Switch exclusive, and
Yeah.
now it is coming to Xbox. So that's cool.
I thought it was
And
also
actually,
it's
that
coming to PS4, right?
there hasn't been any announcement yet.
Are you
It probably
sure?
yes.
Huh. I just recall it coming to PS4, but I mean, I would turn on
I
my
mean, it
Xbox for
probably
Untitled Goose
will.
Game.
Goose Game PS4. Oh, okay. It's coming to PS4 December 17th.
Yeah, there we go. I knew that it was something.
So actually, that is next week. So it's probably coming to PS4 and Xbox around the same time.
Yep.
And actually, in that similar vein, just randomly, Ashen, which is this sort of indie Dark Souls-esque game that was on Game Pass that I had been looking forward to, is also coming out to PS4.
Eh,
I'm trying to find a date. A video started auto-playing, and I had to
Yeah,
get out where it is.
Miles Thompson
What is
says,
it?
in a world where you can try before you buy in digital stores, rentals don't really have a point anymore. And Chris Salazar, our friend and fellow gamer, Fighter Ace, the person who introduced each other, you to me and me to you, um, says Gamefly is still fantastic for buying games as well after you rent it. I've saved so much by doing that, and it's basically new. I rented Call of Duty Modern Warfare on release and bought it with Gamefly bucks for $36.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And actually, it's coming on the 19th. So a lot of previously other console exclusive stuff is coming to other platforms next week. Goose Game.
Yeah, Miles also points out, in a world where you can purchase a game and put it in a console just to wait 6 hours to download updates, renting a physical game for a day doesn't seem like a good idea. There is that.
I guess it depends. Like I did with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, the year that came out. I rented it from Redbox, played through the campaign in a day, and then the next day took it back to Redbox. And like that was kind of a perfect use case for it. And I had thought of doing something similar with Modern Warfare, renting it for a day, playing through the campaign, and then sending it back. But I guess not enough people want to do something like that.
My next item is, so Epic Games has another lawsuit. Yay. This one from another dancer who was suing them over a Fortnite dance.
Oh, did that one ever get resolved or settled?
I believe it did get settled.
Okay.
When was it? All those people got together and said that it was a question of dances versus moves, and you can't patent a move, or can't copyright a move, but you can copyright a dance. And they were like, well, hey, these are more than just like a plie or a, whatever kind of dance move. It is actually a dance for all intents and purposes. It is far more detailed than just this particular movement of your arm. So, anyway, there's a guy named Matt Geiler, who's known as the Dancing Pumpkin Man, who has sent a cease and desist order to Epic regarding a dance routine that he performed in 2006 in a viral video. And Epic responded by from getting that cease and desist letter by filing a lawsuit against Matt Geiler for it, claiming that it does not owe him anything and is not infringed on any trademark or copyright. So essentially, Epic Games is doing exactly what they were doing before, is they were finding viral videos from other people with interesting dance moves, copying those dance moves, and then selling them. And it's a question of whether is it a move? Is it a routine? Are these moves slightly different than the things that you can't copyright? Essentially, Epic is just going to keep pushing this until it comes to the Supreme Court or at least a higher court to decide if it's copyrightable, if these moves are copyrightable or not. And as long as it lives in the gray area, it's just going to keep going. And that's what's going on. Epic claims that Dancing Pumpkin Man is, quote, not sufficiently delineated from the idea of an ordinary jack-o'-lantern head character as depicted throughout history and popular still in modern media. It's a emote called Pump It Up. They said that it's not protected because he does not own a protective character, nor are the parties' respective works, quote unquote, substantially similar as a matter of law. So, yeah. Most of the lawsuits, by the way, that were done before by Carl, the guy that plays Carlton with the Carlton dance, the what was it? Not Star Wars Kid, whatever it was. Anyway,
I
bunch
think
of
it was
these
like the flossing kid.
the flossing, right. Um, they were withdrawn earlier this year following a Supreme Court decision which ruled plaintiffs must first register a copyright for the dance. So, and then in April, a musician, a guy named Lee Pellegrino, filed a lawsuit against Epic Games accusing the company of misappropriating his identity. So essentially, Epic didn't win, but there was things kind of sort of going their way a little bit. And
They didn't win, but they didn't lose.
they didn't lose. Everything was kind of, it's like they were given a slight advantage. Let's just say that if this was a tennis match, they would have gotten an extra point than the other guys. They hadn't won the match, but they had gotten one more point, and everybody withdrew. And so Epic has taken this as like, we're going to go to town until somebody actually takes us to the Supreme Court for something else. So their lawyers are making their money for them. But it bothers me. If Epic keeps doing this, it's getting really, really, really hard to support them because clearly they are going out and finding videos of people that have made viral videos and using their creation to make money off of them. Regardless of what the law says, they're essentially ripping people off, and that
like
does
Fortnite
not feel
is
good.
Fortnite is a monster, and they keep needing to add DLC. Like you need emotes to buy, and where are you going to get emotes and moves?
Yeah. You could find emotes, or moreover, you could go to someone and take their emote, or at least buy their emote from them. Buy that move. It's not like they're not swimming in cash. So somebody's going to sell. And that's the thing. It's like create a secondary market of people creating dance moves for you that you pay them for. Etsy is a perfect example of how you can create a marketplace and buy really nice stuff super fucking cheap. Way cheaper than you need. But they're not doing that. They would rather steal. When it's almost, in many ways, if you count all of the time and all the money that they're spending on the lawyers to file lawsuits against people that they've stolen their moves from, they probably could get the dances cheaper. They could probably get the dances cheaper by just paying the dancers ahead of time.
Which then actually would raise an interesting question. If Epic hires a dancer or two to create some moves, and then someone mimics that move on YouTube,
Then
and Epic tries to sue them, then yeah,
then
it's a
they would be
catch-22.
it's a catch-22. But even so, they're making the money off of the viralness of the video. They're making the money by selling it in Fortnite. So if more people did that move on video, then it would sell more in the game.
Yeah.
As Heartbreak Ridge says, Heartbreak Ridge, who is a judge, says hire a dancer or two to create some moves for hire. But I guess they'd rather pay lawyers than creators, which is what I just said. You can literally take that money and actually put it towards the creation, or at least goodwill within the creative community. And to be honest, with people like me who really don't, it bothers me. I don't want to support Fortnite. I mean, Fortnite already is kind of a shitty place, but they're fostering this world of shittiness when they're stealing. Just because you can get away with it, it doesn't mean it's not stealing. Yep. Still not a good look for Epic. Yep. Absolutely. Sharon wants to know what the hell is the cat doing or wearing for that matter. That is a cat in Fospis who's got urinary problem. That means that it is
basic.
Is that the?
It's not urinary problems. Yes, he has heart problems.
That's right.
We can't neuter him because his heart is weak and he will die if we put him under to neuter him. So that means in order to prevent him from spraying and peeing everywhere, we put him in a diaper.
So that's why your cat's in a diaper.
Yes. I have one more piece of game-related news. And this
Mm-hmm.
one's kind of interesting. This is from Jeff Keighley, who's announcing the Game Festival, which is part of the Game Awards.
Oh, interesting.
Um, and basically, starting tomorrow, the December 12th, for 48 hours, there will be a series of limited time demos available to download on Steam for games that will be part of the Keeleys. And so it's basically like this, you know, limited digital game festival. You can download all these demos on Steam. They have a list of games right here. There's probably the most biggest name of those is the new System Shock game. And then in addition to that, they have Eastward, Spiritfarer, Moving Out, Roki, Chicory, Wooden Nickel, Haven, Heavenly Bodies, Acid Knife, The Drifter, Carry On, and Skatebird. Most of those I don't know. I do know Carry On, Carrion, not like the luggage, is a indie horror game from Devolver that looks pretty good. I do know that Skatebird is like this shockingly deep skate simulation. So think like a kind of cartoony skate game. Um, but that's just kind of a cool idea, is to go along with this award show, to have a lot of the games mentioned in that show be presented in playable demos that I could download and play at home. That's a really cool idea.
Yeah,
I'm all for that.
I think it is. As
See,
much as I
that would
don't
be
like Jeff
what would
Keighley,
be
he really does get us,
really want you
doesn't
to like
he?
Jeff Keighley. Jeff Keighley's cool. Jeff Keighley's a fine guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a bit plasticky, but he does get us.
I don't know. I
He's
feel like that's just because that's just like part of the what is it? Host persona, right? All hosts are kind of plasticky, and most of what you see him in is host stuff. But he's no. Whenever I've seen him like in interviews and stuff, he comes across as a real good guy.
yeah. Nintendo Switch. If you are looking to pick up a Nintendo Switch or ask for one for Christmas, sorry, if you need a controller for your Nintendo Switch, not the whole Nintendo Switch, Amazon and Walmart are currently selling the Switch Pro controller for $55. Normally they're 70. So, and it rarely goes on sale.
Jesus.
So now is a really good time to pick up a Pro controller if you're interested. Um, yeah, it's a hell of a deal. And
You could also get like third-party pro controllers for like $25.
yeah, but if you-
I've looked into that.
yeah, I've bought third-party controllers for the PS4 and the Xbox 360 back in the day.
Mhm.
They're hit and miss. You get what you pay for. The Sony chat pad was a terrible chat pad. It kept breaking. It went 18 months and it would die. And then I bought another one. And then it went exactly 18 months and then it died. And then I bought a third-party chat pad that was actually really, really good. And it was cheaper and it was much better made. And it was overall just a better thing. I've bought controllers that are third party that have broken within, a month. So, and then I've also bought name brand controllers, like Sony's controllers, the
Mhm.
regular controllers, not the pro ones. That I think I'm on like my fifth or sixth one. They just stop working. And it's not that they're broken or have anything on them, and it's always the R2 button. And you don't really notice that they're broken until all of a sudden you can't do something in a game.
I do remember when you mentioning that a game wasn't working, your button wasn't working. I've never had a controller break on me, or at least not a PlayStation
I
controller.
wish I remember what game it was. There was one that
I feel like it was something we were playing together. It was like you were trying to pick up an item and you couldn't do it.
yeah,
Maybe it was
I was a semi truck. I
Battlefield?
was trying to get a semi truck out of a garage, and every time I got into the semi truck, I couldn't get it started. I couldn't get it to move because my R2 button wasn't working in that game. And Battlefield 5 is both Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 had the same issue where I couldn't use a sniper rifle because I couldn't zoom in. You wouldn't let me actually like zoom in, like use the sights, because you needed to do the L2 button to zoom in and then fire.
And
Or I could
it
zoom
wasn't
in,
working.
but if I hit the R2 button in order to fire, it would take me out of the. It wouldn't. That's right. It wouldn't fire. I could zoom in, but I would not fire. As soon as I hit the R2 button, it took me out of the zoom and then would not fire it.
That's
So
so
I've had to
weird.
I've got like 5 of
You
them.
you are rough with controllers.
It's not me. It was not me.
I
That
don't know.
was a known bug within
The
some of the controllers, and a lot of people just cracked open their controllers and hacked them because it is something inside.
The only reason I had to stop using the first PS4 controller I got is because I had worn down the nubs on the
Right.
control sticks, and like that cloth nub plastic material on there.
The rubber coating
Yeah,
comes
the
off,
rubber,
and
that's
then
what it's called, rubber. It was not very good on the first set of controls, and I actually bought like little things that you can kind of peel open and put on the controller to replace it.
Mhm.
Because by default, the way the PS4 nubs work is they're concave. So like you stick your thumb inside it and hold it. And I didn't like that. I didn't like the feel of that. So I actually got a little thing that I can put over the control sticks to make it convex, and it bumps up with like a kind of spiky material for traction.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
And it feels nice. And it was kind of neat. I got like a pack of a bunch of them, and like some would be like this tall, some would be this tall, some would be this tall. And it's like it was for different games. I've never actually switched it, but the idea is that if you want more
Traction?
detailed control, no,
No.
because like if the stick is tall, then you have to do more movement to make the
Oh,
stick move,
right.
and so that allows you a more finer control over the stick.
Got
And
it.
so maybe for something like a racing game, where you want to move it just a little tiny bit, you might want a higher stick that allows you, that type of control, which is interesting in theory. I never did it, but the pack was cheap and the thing has lasted longer than the actual control stick has. But
Interesting. Send me a link for that shit. I might want to try that out.
okay,
Because I frequently have a problem with the PlayStation 4 controller in that especially if I'm running, that my finger will slip off of the control, especially if I'm pulling down to move backwards, that my finger will sometimes slip off the controller, and I actually have to hold as I'm holding the controller. I'm doing this on camera. As I'm holding the controller, my left thumb will be slipping off of the stick, and I will have to reach over and hold this one and get my finger back up to keep going. Same thing with forward. I will sometimes have to stick my index finger from the other hand to hold the stick forward and then reposition my thumb. And I never had that problem on the 360 ever.
I
Ever,
sent you a
ever,
link
ever.
in the private chat because that's all I have access to. Those ones are for Xbox, but it's the same general idea.
Okay.
Thumb grips is what you would search for.
Okay. I'm pulling this up right now and I will stick it into our my screen so that you guys can see it. Let's see if it actually works, because I think that's there they are. So yeah, that's them on Best Buy.
And those ones don't have the variable heights. I'm looking for those. I'm sure you can find it if you
But those
look
are for
hard.
360, not for PS4. But if you find
Yeah, that
they
is
make
just the
them for
first thing that came
PS4?
up on Google.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Here, let me give
That's
you
all
a.
right. I'll find them later. It's not big a deal. Chris Scalazar says I bought aftermarket stick covers because when I switched it initially from the PS4 to the Xbox, it strained my thumb. I put the stick covers on and have not had any issue with my thumbs and can play endlessly.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Okay, I sent you another like comprehensive pack.
Oh, okay. I will look that up. Um, let's see. In the news, let's see.
Yeah, that's actually all the news I have.
GameStop apparently is still struggling for the same reason that Redbox is struggling. It announced earnings for its fiscal third quarter that ended November 2nd, and the results were not good. Revenue fell overall, and sales are decreasing across nearly every category in the company's business. Um, the total revenue fell by 25, almost 26%.
Ooh.
New hardware sales dropped 45, almost 46%,
I mean, that
which
makes a lot of sense because people are waiting for the new consoles.
exactly that's what they're saying is that the anticipation for
Uh,
PlayStation 5 is really hurting GameStop at exactly the worst moment for GameStop because they're already struggling like crazy. 2020 is not going to be a big year for video games. It's just, or sorry, 2019, Christmas 2019 is not going to be a big year for video games. Um, nobody's buying a console for Christmas. They just aren't. You might buy a Switch, but in general, nobody's buying consoles because everybody's waiting for the next one. Um, revenue from game sales dropped 33%. So was it? Total revenue dropped by a quarter. Console sales dropped almost by a half. New game sales dropped by a third. The game sales for the Switch grew, but it was not enough to really make a dent because honestly, there's not enough market penetration for the Switch. Just isn't. It's not quite there when you compare it to Xbox One and
really? Because
360, the
like,
PS4. When you compare those numbers, the Xbox One and PS4,
from my understanding, the Switch was almost there. Like, it sold like crazy gangbusters.
it did sell like crazy
It
gangbusters,
is
but
selling like crazy.
most of those people already had a PlayStation 4 or a 360.
I mean, what
And
does that matter?
because you're not buying the same kind of games, they're not the same kind. Xbox One and PS4 compete
Yeah, but you're
against
still
each
buying
other.
games.
Switch, right, but Switch is way out there. Nobody is buying exclusively those games. It's those are the people that
Exclusive
would
Switch
buy
games?
no,
Yeah.
only Switch games, not exclusively. Only Switch games. That's
Oh,
what I mean by exclusive.
there might be. Hey, sorry.
So people are
There might
just not
be some
picking
people
up
like
the
that.
games, not physical copies. And also remember, we're talking physical copies from
Okay, I mean,
GameStop.
I feel like that's the important point because, yeah,
Yep. So
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
GameStop is right up there with Redbox in that they are one of the buggy whip builders, one buggy whip retailers of different kinds of buggy whips, and they're covering all different buggies, but they're still buggy whips. So yeah. Madden, by comparison, Borderlands 3 sold 70% of its launch copies digitally. Madden 20 sold more than 50% of its launch copies digitally. So GameStop is competing for a very small slice of pie. I should say, yeah, very small. In the case of Borderlands 3, they're only in the market for 30% of the launch copies, and they're competing with Best Buy and everybody else. So, yeah, they're kind they just I don't want to say they need to go out of business, but they kind of need to go out of business. Or they have to find something else.
I mean, they've been trying to do that. I know that they bought Think Geek to try to change into like a more general geek-centered type of merchandise store, and that hasn't worked.
They aren't advertising things off of, they're not making me want to buy stuff off of ThinkGeek.
Yeah, well, also when they bought it, they like basically shut down the site and kind of ruined everything. So,
Right.
you know, the idea was probably good, but their execution of it has been awful.
Yeah. I
So,
want to buy a new car. So I I want a new car. So I went to my neighbor, bought his new car, and then blew it up.
yeah. So, if anything, GameStop needs some new CEOs.
Yeah. GameStop needs to have somebody that has half of a clue, not only about gaming, but also about business. I mean, maybe they understand business in a way that I don't, why it makes sense to blow up the neighbor's car. But, you know, I'm just
Because that neighbor's
a
an
woman of a
asshole.
small
That's
brain.
why. He's a jerk. He keeps putting his shit into my lawn.
Yeah.
Blow up his car.
So Annie, let's see. Let me see if there's anything else that I'm finding. What are you gonna play this weekend, by the way?
So I'm gonna take advantage of my break from Kingdom Come to try and to start the other indie game that I bought like way back in October called Return of the Obra Dinn. It's this game where you are like this insurance guy exploring an old trading ship, like 18th century sailing ship, to try to figure out what happened to the people on board. And there's like kind of a cool time travel mechanic involved. It's got a real cool pixel art style to it. I've been looking forward to playing that for a while. And then maybe, God willing, sometime within the next month, I will start Death Stranding.
Yeah, you really need to do Death Stranding.
I really want to, and I want to do that before getting too deep into like listening to Game of the Year discussions because I don't want the story spoiled. But you know, when it came out, I was playing Kingdom Come, and that game kind of took over.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I still have one bit of DLC to do. Did you play all of the DLC or just?
I think I've played pieces of all of it.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
okay. So
I'm still
you're
in the
still in the
middle.
game. Okay.
Oh yeah, because
Okay.
I'm still in the middle of Hans's Capon's weird miscellaneous quests. I've still got the other woman's lot to do. I'm still building up my city. What else was there? Oh, I'm still like part of the mercenary group going around doing stuff. So yeah, I'm still way in the middle of that game.
Yeah,
I have not progressed since I asked you about that dude in the tavern. I haven't played it since then.
You haven't progressed since you asked me about.
I need to sneak into the monastery, and there's a guy in the tavern that I couldn't find. I haven't.
Wow,
haven't
you
done it
are
since then.
you are nowhere near the end.
I know, and
Holy crap.
I've already put it. When you save, it shows your hour count, and I've put a good 60 hours, 60, 70 hours into that game. So, you know, I want to take a break.
Yeah.
It's been a nice break playing other stuff.
Yeah, I think
like
the
playing other
only
things.
DLC that I haven't done was it Band of Bastards? And
Yeah.
I haven't done the Lord Capon's thing, the DLC about him and that.
Both of those are like a long series of quests.
Yeah. Yeah. But I have played both sides of a woman's lot, both Teresa and Johanka. Johanka's is way more satisfying.
Yeah,
have you done Johanka?
I haven't.
Teresa's is good.
I like Teresa's.
Johanka's is way more interesting. Way more interesting. It's a little bit more fetch questy, but Teresa's is more, and it says a lot for this DLC. It's one piece of DLC. It's got two sections, and they're vastly different. One is more of a story progression where you're actually playing the character, and Johanka's you're playing yourself. You're not playing Johanka. You're doing a bunch of fetch quests, but there's multiple endings, and
Hmm.
some of them go very badly. I got first try the good, um the best ending, and then went online because everybody was complaining about how they didn't get the good ending. They keep getting the worst ending. So I went and looked to see them. So like I wasn't sure if I got the good ending or the bad ending. It wasn't because there's a good, medium, and bad. And I wasn't sure if I got medium or good. So I went online to look at all three endings, and the bad ending, oh my god. It's fucking brutal. Oh my god, it is like I had a hard time watching it.
Huh.
So
Okay.
you might want to make. I mean, it depends on how you feel about Yohanka, but you might want to make some bad decisions. But I would highly recommend saving before you make
Okay.
any decisions.
I will remember that.
I had to go back several times in my timeline because I either died or I made a horrible mistake or I got caught. But it's a lot of running around fetch questing and doing stuff. And there, as typical of this game, multiple ways to do it. Way more ways than you think, as I had subsequently found out by reading and going on and watching. There are a lot of ways to get from point A to point B, and many of them are things I never would have thought of. And it's like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Only after the
Yeah,
fact,
that's
which is
cool.
very typical of this game.
Yeah, yeah.
It definitely rewards creative thought. Yeah, I got nothing else. There's nothing in the news. Everything is being
Yeah.
held for. Are you going to watch the Keeleys?
Sure, I'll find a way to do that. Or just look at a website to see what one. It depends what I'm doing that day.
125 hours to finish the Division 2. Chris Salazar says, I can't play games like that anymore. I put 125 hours into Division 2 before I finally finished the storyline, and I didn't even realize it. 125 hours to get through that storyline? It was not that big a storyline. That's on you, dude. You dawdled. You cannot complain about the length of the trip if you're literally wandering, meandering on the way and complain, oh my God, I've been walking forever. Yeah, because you keep taking side quests. Anyway. AC Ray says, dishwashers and cars? Your neighbors are handy. Yeah, they are. My neighbor did not give me her car. Although I've never stolen a car in my life, but I really thought about it for a second.
Your neighbor's car.
My neighbor's car. My brother and I sat in front of our house going, we could seriously make the car disappear.
How would you hide it? Where would you keep it? You're literally neighbors.
Well, the neighbor had a Jeep.
I bought your exact car the same day it went stolen. It's just a coincidence, I swear.
No. My neighbor had a Jeep, and it was kind of a cool Jeep, and it would have been perfect on the ranch to go hunting with because my brother and I do hunt on the ranch. And the ranch is, of course, 3,000 acres. You could put a car in the middle of that, and no one would ever find it. So we were looking at it going, man, I wonder if she would want to sell it. Because that Jeep parked and didn't move for probably a year and a half. Like it was covered in cobwebs. So I went to the neighbor and was like, hey, so I noticed your Jeep, you haven't driven it, and it's parked on the street. I'm like, so you haven't moved your Jeep in a while. I was wondering, would you be interested in selling your Jeep? And she's like, well, it's got a radiator problem, but I could let it go for $2,000. And I'm like, it's got a radiator problem? Is that code for you've cracked the block and that's why you haven't moved it? So you would sell me your vehicle for $2,000? And she's like, well, it's got a winch on the front and that's worth $1,500. I'm like, 1,500 new. It's been literally sitting and not moving for 18 plus months. And you cannot. I've watched it. I know it's been sitting there. It's not. I could buy that winch new for less than 1,500. But even so, it's not a $1,500 winch anymore. It was a year and a half ago before you let it sit and park. So I got kind of pissed off that she was kind of a dick about the price. So I didn't buy it, didn't touch it. It sat there for another year, and then she moved out. And then I went back to her and said, hey, you interested in getting rid of that vehicle? Because I noticed you're moving out. You're going to have to do something with that car now. And I know that it hasn't moved now in 2 years. Would you be interested? I can take that car off your hands. And she's like, yeah, I'll take $2,000 for it. I'm like, huh? Really?
Still.
Really? So I fuck that. Left it. She abandoned the vehicle. She left it on the street. So I went to my brother and I said, dude, we could do one of two things. We can either call her and say, hey, if you send me the pink slip, I will take care of that vehicle for you. And no, I'm not paying you anything. You're just going to send me the pink slip. And if not, I will just let that car sit there and I will call the city and have them tow it. And then you're going to have to pay the city for the towing charge and the storing charge because they don't you can't just abandon the vehicle like that. But Ian, my brother, is like, well, why don't we just take it? We can make it disappear. Just tow it down to the thing. And I'm like, well, it's got she said it had a radiator problem. He's like, oh, fuck that. We'll just take the winch off the front. Because we'll take the winch off the front, call the city, they will tow it. It'll go to the tow yard. It's like, who took the winch? Probably the tow yard. Because that's
what happened.
What happened was I walked out, was walking the dogs when I came out one morning to walk the dog, and there was the city of Richmond, and I'm like, hey,
Wow, they were towing it.
Yeah, the parking enforcement. I'm like, oh, by the way, just so you know, that vehicle's been there for a really long time. It does need to be towed. And he's like, yeah, I'm towing it now. He's like, he wasn't even going to put the notice on it and give you 72 hours. He towed it right there. So she should have sold it to me for a reasonable price or given it to me when she was moving.
At that point.
She was a fool, and now she's on the hook for it. And I sort of feel bad, but I don't.
Okay.
So that's a story how I almost stole the car from my neighbor.
I really need to go to the bathroom, so I can either
can we talk about a lot more stuff?
Or
can we
should
talk?
we just leave?
Oh, Nick.
I will happily stay and talk. I just got to go take a break.
No, we should, because I've got nothing to talk about. When we've gotten down to the time I almost
Also, I wonder if the
stole
cat's
her.
trying to pee.
Yeah? Anyway, let's just close out the show. Nick, just close out the... Fucking Nick. God. Talk about herding cats. So anyway, we're going to close out the show. We are going to be back next week. Our next show is going to be the 18th, which is the week before Christmas. We have not decided whether we're going to do a show on Christmas Day. I doubt we will, which means that we would be off. We decided. I forgot what we decided. I think we decided we were going to do something either earlier or later. But yeah, Christmas Day and New Year's Eve both fall on a Wednesday, which means that we would have to do Christmas Day and New Year's Eve shows. And I don't know that we want to do that. I'm thinking we might want to do one show in the middle of the two. Nick, do you remember what our decision was about Christmas and New Year's? Because that's in 2 weeks.
We were probably going to play something, try to do some sort of drunk cast. We didn't make a decision.
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking is that rather than trying to do two shows, one on Christmas Day and one on New Year's Eve, I'm thinking that maybe we might want to do one on like a Friday or Saturday night between the two.
Okay.
Like the 27th, 28th, 29th, Sunday morning, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm throwing it out there for everybody in the Spreaker chat and also in the YouTube chat and the Facebook chat. What would be the best solution? Would it be one nice long drunk cast in between New Year or Christmas and New Year's, or like do two shows, one right before Christmas, one right before or right after New Year's? It's hard to figure out because I'm not really quite sure what the best solution is. I'm looking at I'll bring up my, there you go. So we're looking at, there's Christmas Day, there's New Year's Eve. They're both on a Wednesday. This is today. So I'm thinking maybe in this range right here of doing a single drunk cast that would take up for Christmas or New Year's. The other alternative is we could do Christmas and New Year's or shows at the beginning of the week, like say the 23rd and the 30th, or the 24th and the 31st. Although that's New Year's Eve, that would be bad. So wondering what your thoughts might be for the best solution. Ryan Stevenson's in the Spreaker chat, so please weigh in on this. Of how best to handle the fact that Christmas Day and New Year's Day are both on our show days. It's like the perfect storm. Because
I'm good for whichever day. Probably not the 26th, because I'll probably be in Modesto then. But 27th, 28th, I'll probably be back by then. Mm-hmm. Actually, I will be right back.
He's good. You gonna go to the bathroom? Yeah, of course. I figured you were paying. Sent a message to the podcast. Okay, I saw your message, Miles. I will look that up. So anybody have any opinion of best way to do this? And yes, Nick Gully and I will get rip-roaring drunk. We might even play some Steam games, because I guess we can play Steam on StreamYard, because here we are. I've got my calendar app. So that seems to be working. But yeah, we can do whatever you like, or make new rules. Could go to just do it on the PlayStation 4 and stream to YouTube and just play there together as a group rather than doing it as a actual podcast. And then I theoretically could rip the audio from that and throw it into Spreaker so that you could download it later off of, all the places that Spreaker distributes to and syndicates to. AC Ray says, I don't even know what my family's doing. It can change on a whim if a cousin's work schedule gets messy. So Warframe it is. I'm not playing Warframe. I am not going to play Warframe. Boy, we were talking about that earlier. I think we were talking about it last night. When you go onto the PlayStation Store, God, they pimp Warframe. They're as bad as you, AC Wraith, when it comes to pimping Warframe. Chris says, I have the 23rd off, so it would definitely watch you guys then. Yeah. I kind of just want to knock it out one big end of the year blowout drink, just sloppy drunk cast.
Okay.
All three of us sloppy drunk. Although Nick Gully doesn't really drink that much anymore. But
when is Gully available?
I think all the time. I think he's probably not available on Christmas Day, but he doesn't go away. They never leave Beverly.
Okay.
He didn't get around much. He is not a traveling type. We'd have to play on PC. See, and that's just another reason why we won't play Warframe with you ever. It's just not gonna happen, dude. It's not gonna happen.
I don't know. I might play on PS4. I've been wanting to go back to that, but there's also a lot of other things to play.
Yeah, there's a lot of other things to play. We have a choice. God, we have a lot of choices. We're gonna have to figure this out, and it's obviously too He said, this Saturday would be great. Thanks. Thanks, Ryan Stevenson in the Spreaker chat. No, we're not going to do it this Saturday because this Saturday is not the optimal time because we're talking 2 weeks from now, not 1 week. We'll figure it out. Nick, you and I will talk about it on PlayStation 4. So, if people ever want to group up with us whenever we're playing, especially if I'm playing anything that's got a multiplayer in it, I freaking would love to have you, especially like join me in Titanfall 2. It's stupid and silly and I don't take it very seriously, but it's kind of fun. And it's free right now. I am Gamer Edie. That's all one word. GamerEdie on PlayStation 4, which is what I'm playing Titanfall 2 on right now. So go ahead and join me. And then Nick, of course, is Evil Alsop, EVOL, and it's the O is a 0, ALSOP.
Actually, is it a 0 on PlayStation? I've always thought it was.
It's a 0.
Okay, it is. It is.
Yep.
Okay.
The evil, the O of evil is a 0. God, you really freaking need to change that.
Yeah, I never see
says,
it
what
though.
about a video board game like Monopoly? Would we really want to play Monopoly? I don't know. They might have a Stratomatic video game that we could play with Gully, and we could do it on StreamYard. We could actually play on Steam or on PC, as long as I can play it on my Mac. And then we could stream it on StreamYard. We could do that. Entirely possible. We'll talk about it. In the meantime, yeah, and then join us on either of those things. I'm probably going to hit PlayStation 4 as soon as I'm off here, as soon as I go to, eat something, because I haven't had breakfast. All right, so on that note, shall we close this show out, Nick? Oh, also, don't forget our Patreon. We have a Patreon account, patreon.com/GameHounds. $1 a week is all we ask. This helps subsidize all of the costs. We are now officially, thank you very much, paying for, and especially thanks to Terry fucking Sweeten and Michael fucking Underwood, who are our sponsors for, just love that, who are sponsors for the video feed. Thank you. We have a bunch of people that are paying for the video feed. Those are our two Don Matrick sponsors, so they get their call out every week on a Don Matrick voice. And really $1 a week is all we ask to help pay for the show. But fortunately, video feed stays up. Thank you to all of our current sponsors. So yeah, I guess that's it. Let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds episode 526. We recorded this on Wednesday, December 11th, 2019. I've been Edie Sellers, and with me has been Nick DeNicola. Ways to get a hold of us. GameHounds.net is our website. GameHounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live at 9:30, generally speaking, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern every Wednesday on Spreaker. That's speaker with an R, Spreaker.com. We record that, the audio there. We also have, thank you very much to Terry fucking Sweeten and Michael fucking Underwood, who have sponsored our video feed. You can find that video on YouTube at GameHounds Vids. That's VIDS as in videos. You can also find us on Facebook, also doing the live video stream. And the Facebook page is The GameHounds. Our Facebook page is lovingly curated by our very own piss boy, Steve M. Hawk Ortegon. And we also have every link everything that we've talked about put into our comments, whether you're on Spreaker, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere. All of those links are on there, and that is done by our very own Blink Bitch, who does an amazing job every week. AC Ray, thank you so much. What else? I think that's it. Join us live next week, and then we'll let you know what's going to go on with Christmas. If you would like to sponsor us, we are patreon.com/GameHounds. And Gully, sorry I was so late. I will double check why my alarm went off late. And talk to y'all later. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.
All right, we are out of the audio show, and we're still in our Spreaker chat. Yeah, there's our Patreon. Thank you very much. Uh, Chris wants us to play Cards Against Humanity and stream it. No, Cards Against Humanity with 3 people is not good. It's not enough.
Yeah. So do you want to do a podcast like here on the computer? Or did you want to do something like over PlayStation, like with The Way Out?
We could do either one, do a multiplayer game, but I can't think of a multiplayer game that would be really good for all 3 of us. If we wanted to play something
Like
on
I could think of one that
PC,
would I could think of something that'd be fun, but like both of you would have to buy it, which is way more difficult.
which is what?
It's called Man of Medine. It's like Until Dawn. Like one of those interactive horror games.
You're gonna give me nightmares right before Christmas. I don't do well with horror
Sure.
games.
It's
Look
fun
at you.
horror.
You think it's great.
It's
you love the
goofy.
idea of giving me nightmares.
Oh yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah, I don't do good with scary stuff. I used to love scary stuff, but as I've gotten older, especially zombies.
Then maybe we'll do
But we could do
Until
it.
Dawn.
We could do. No, we could
Until
do Man
Dawn
of
might be
Medine.
also Until Dawn we could do that, and it's like way cheaper too at this point.
Yeah, we could buy each other. I could buy Goaly's copy. Goalie could buy my copy. The other alternative is anything that we play on PC, as long as it can be played on a Mac. We could play it here. I mean,
Yeah, like the difficulty in finding something
with the share screen. I can share anything on my screen.
It's just the difficulty is finding something that we all have, since we all have kind of very different tastes.
We could play. Miles Thompson says we could play a board game.
Yeah, we could.
A board game video. Online board game.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Could do it. I mean, it could. Well, put your brain to it. Something may happen. And we'll probably try and ask Goalie and put his brain to it as well.
Yeah.
He'll probably be
What does he have? What does he want to play?
Probably Stratomatic. But you can't really have a 3-way hockey game, although that sounds like an awesome idea.
That would be kind of cool.
3-way hockey.
It takes place on a like a triangle triangle arena.
Right. Yeah, I love that idea. Why do we not have 3-way hockey?
I don't know. Why are there not more 3-way sports?
Edie's camera from Outcast is lost forever. Yeah.
Oh, that would be great if we could play Outcast.
We could play Outcast.
Oh, actually, yeah. Can't you do like a screen, like a I take over your game?
Screen share?
Not just that, but like I come into your game and take it over. Can't I do that? Isn't there some PlayStation feature?
No, yeah, it's share play. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Like you play until you die, I'll play until I die. You play until you die. That's how I used to play the Resident Evil games with my friend back in the day.
Is that Iron Skies game?
Iron Skies game? I don't know that one.
Not Iron. I think you're talking about Outer Wilds or Outer Worlds, and I don't think it's multiplayer.
I don't think so. Iron Skies is a thing. Like that's like a space Nazi series of movies, but not games.
Okay. Outlast, not Outcast. Oh yeah, Outlast. I didn't do that. That was the one in the
Insane Asylum.
Insane Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. I hope AC Wraith, were you watching when I was playing that and literally jumping out of my skin, like screaming? God, I fucking hate that.
Yeah.
You love hearing about me hating that.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a fantastic time.
Pathwrath 2, but I don't think the client works on Pathwrath. I've never even heard of Pathwrath. Have you?
Neither have I. Uh-uh.
Yeah. He says, "Yep, I watched. Yeah, there was a couple of them where I like literally like screamed and threw the controller away. I'm a jumpy gal. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I'm very jumpy. Pathwrath.
Yeah, I didn't know Iron Sky was a video game. It's like a comedic sci-fi game about Nazis on the moon, or a movie, a series of movies.
Yes, this I knew.
But game. Oh yeah, Iron
Path
Sky Invasion.
Pathwrath 2
Hmm.
by AC Wraith at Beyond Games. Is this a Did you make a game, AC Wraith?
Well, what is this?
It's your game, dude. I didn't know you made a game. It's a card game with asynchronous turns. Here's the basics. Resources are gained. In fact, let me put this on the screen so you all can see what I'm looking at. Hold on. Let me get to my StreamYard and let me get rid of that screen and let me add Chrome tab of Pathwrath. Here we go. There it is. Resources are gained by passing castles and earning trolls.
Huh.
Land is claimed by placing card creatures which cost resources. When a player lands on a space owned by an opponent, the player must either pay a toll. Oh, I think you meant earning tolls, not trolls. There you go. Yeah, he's figuring it. Consisting of resources and points to successfully complete a card battle invasion. Victory points are gained by owning land and earning tolls. Pass a castle with enough victory points and you win. Differences with the original Pathwrath include the ability for players to start games without host-assigned staff, various graphical interface upgrades, streamlined cards. Blah, blah, blah. Let's take a look at this. The Boinking Bunny, the resale renovator, the neighbor of the Joneses.
Are those all the things that he made?
Yes, it looks like this is a screenshot of his game.
Oh, those are the different
It looks like these are the different castles that you have to pass.
huh.
Interesting. Pay $96. Cool. Extreme flatulence. Demon Fang. So yeah, it looks like this. It's sort of like Cul-de-Cept in terms of genre, but with much different mechanisms. He made it in 2007. Interesting. I might have to play that. Has it been updated since 2007? Maybe I shouldn't. And it looks like you made a little bit of money on it.
That's pretty cool.
Made $851.
Oh, that's actually very cool.
Very cool. Or at least according to this, you probably didn't actually get that. Probably Beyond takes a big chunk of that. Kind of like, not gonna lie, kind of like Patreon. So I may have to actually play that. Okay, so I'm gonna go get something to eat. Anything else? Or when are you gonna be playing anything? And is it anything that we want to play together?
No, because like I said, I'll probably be playing Obra Dinn. And that's a single player game.
I think I'm gonna jump on and play a little. It depends on if my favorite group of people to play Battlefield 5 are on. If they're on, I'm gonna play
Okay.
Battlefield 5.
I should
If not, I'm gonna
try
play
downloading
Titanfall.
Titanfall 2 just to get back in. Maybe I'll get back into that for a little bit. That
It's
could be
not
cool.
bad,
No,
especially
it's
the
not bad.
co-op multiplayer. I really
I
like the co-op
really
multiplayer.
I really like Titanfall 2. No, Titanfall 2 is like probably one of the best shooters of the year it came out.
Yeah, it just didn't get a lot of love, which I
But
never
that's
understood.
because it came out in between a Battlefield and Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like EA kind of sent it to die, which was unfortunate.
Oh, it was an ad for the general Beyond Sight donations. Okay. So apparently it did not make $800.
Aw.
There's Chaos. Dude, it's been a while. I was just about to mention, like, I haven't seen Chaos in so long. But then again, I've also been playing Kingdom Come Delivered, so it's sort of my fault. So yeah, I'm probably gonna do either Battlefield with my Battlefield group or Titanfall 2. So if y'all wanna meet up with me and group up with me in the next half an hour, now would be a good time. All right, so talk to you next week, everyone. Bye.
Bye.